the man everyone mourned comes back alive, only to be rejected by the child who was supposed to run into his arms. Heartland Season 20 doesn't begin with joy or miracles. It begins with silence. With one small step backward from Lindy and one quiet heartbreak for Amy, everything they rebuilt over years starts to crack. Ty's return was meant to heal wounds. Instead, it opens the deepest one of all. Ty's return to Heartland is nothing like the stories people tell. There is no rush of happiness, no music swelling in the background, no moment where pain magically disappears. It happens slowly, carefully, as if even the land understands how fragile this moment is. Ty stands there, alive, breathing, real. The man Amy buried in her heart years ago is suddenly in front of her. And yet, nothing feels complete. Amy doesn't move toward him. She doesn't cry. Her reaction is locked inside her body. Her breath tightens. Her hands stay still. For years, she taught herself how to survive without Ty. She learned how to wake up every morning with loss sitting heavy on her chest. She learned how to smile for Lindy while hiding grief she never fully spoke about. She told herself the chapter was closed, that she had already lived through the worst pain possible. But seeing Ty again proved something painful. She survived his loss, but she never truly let him go. Ty feels it instantly. The distance, the hesitation. This is the place where his life once made sense, and now it feels unfamiliar. Amy is stronger than he remembers, calmer, harder in ways he never wanted her to be. And standing beside her is Lindy, the little girl he dreamed about but never knew. The child who grew up without him. The child he hoped would be his bridge back into this family. Everyone expects the same thing. A hug, a smile, recognition. But Lindy does none of it. She doesn't run to Ty. She doesn't stare in wonder. Instead, she steps closer to Amy. Her body stiffens. Her eyes stay guarded. To Lindy, this man is not a miracle. He is not a lost hero. He is a stranger who suddenly feels too important to everyone around her. The adults stop talking when she walks in. The air feels heavy. Something has changed, and she feels it before she understands it. Ty kneels slightly, trying not to overwhelm her. He waits for something, anything, but Lindy gives him nothing. Her refusal is quiet, calm, and that calm hurts more than anger ever could. In that moment, an invisible line is drawn. Lindy chooses safety over uncertainty, the life she knows over the past she never lived. Amy sees it happen in real time. Her heart breaks in two directions. One part aches for Ty, watching hope fade from his eyes. The other part rises fiercely, instinctively, to protect her daughter. Amy understands something terrifying and true. She cannot force this. She cannot guide Lindy's feelings. Love cannot be demanded, especially from a child. Ty understands it too. He imagined questions. He imagined confusion. He even imagined anger. But he never imagined being unnecessary. Never imagined that his presence would feel like an intrusion instead of a gift. Blood connects them, but blood is not enough. Presence matters, time matters, and he missed both. Heartland feels different after that moment. Not broken, but unsteady. Like a house that still stands but creaks with every step. No one argues, no one explains. Silence fills the spaces where excitement should have lived. And in that silence, a painful truth settles in. Ty's return didn't restore the family. It fractured it. This is how Heartland Season 20 truly begins. Not with reunion, but with refusal. Not with healing, but with a question no one is ready to answer. Can love survive when time has already taken too much? After Lindy's refusal, Heartland doesn't explode into drama. It sinks into something worse, quiet discomfort. Life continues on the surface, but underneath, nothing feels settled. Meals are eaten with fewer words. Conversations stop when someone enters the room. Everyone feels like they're walking around something fragile, afraid that one wrong step will shatter it completely. Amy feels the weight of it first. Every morning, she wakes up and does what she has always done. She makes breakfast. She checks on the ranch. She takes care of Lindy. Responsibility doesn't pause just because her heart is tangled. On the outside, Amy looks steady. She talks when spoken to. She keeps moving. But inside, she feels stretched thin, pulled in opposite directions. Protecting Lindy is her priority. There is no question about that. Yet Ty's return has awakened emotions she thought were long buried. Feelings she never truly finished grieving now sit heavy in her chest, demanding attention. Amy begins to realize something painful. She didn't just grieve Ty's death years ago, she grieved the future they were supposed to have together. And now that Ty is standing in front of her, alive and real, that future feels close enough to touch, but impossible to reach. Loving Ty once shaped her entire life. Loving him again feels dangerous. Not because the love is gone, but because it isn't. Ty, meanwhile, learns what it means to be present and powerless at the same time. Every instinct tells him to fix this, to explain himself, to earn Lindy's trust quickly, to make up for lost time. But he knows forcing himself into her world will only confirm her fear, so he waits. And waiting becomes its own punishment. Each day reminds him of everything he missed. First steps, first words, bedtime fears, quiet moments he can never reclaim. He watches Lindy laugh with people she trusts. He sees how comfortable she is in routines built without him. That should bring him comfort. Instead, it brings pain, because it proves something he doesn't want to accept. She survived just fine without him. His return didn't complete her world. It disrupted it. Lindy feels the tension even when no one talks about it. Children notice what adults try to hide. She sees the way Amy grows quiet when Ty enters the room. She notices how conversations change direction, how adults exchange looks they think she doesn't understand. To Lindy, stability means predictability, and Ty represents change she never asked for. She doesn't hate him, she doesn't fear him, she simply doesn't trust what he represents. So Lindy pulls inward. She stays close to what feels familiar. Her silence becomes her shield. When Ty is nearby, she keeps her distance, not out of cruelty, but instinct. She is protecting herself in the only way she knows how. Amy notices this withdrawal, and guilt settles deep in her heart. She questions every decision. Did she move too fast? Did she underestimate how deeply this would affect Lindy? Amy begins to understand that even her own emotional struggle is impacting her daughter. The family feels the shift too. Some believe Ty deserves patience. Others worry that his presence is reopening wounds that should have stayed closed. No one agrees on what the right path forward is. And because there is no agreement, nothing moves. The tension sharpens instead of fading. Ty begins to question his decision to stay. He didn't come back to cause pain. He came back searching for connection, maybe forgiveness, maybe a place to belong, but instead he feels like a weight everyone is quietly carrying. The more he watches Amy struggle and Lindy withdraw, the more he wonders if leaving would be kinder. Yet leaving would confirm Lindy's belief that he doesn't belong. There is no right answer, only consequences. And as the silence at Heartland grows heavier, one thing becomes clear. This situation cannot last. Something will have to break. Time does not soften the tension at Heartland. It sharpens it. Days pass, routines continue, but nothing truly settles. The ranch still stands, the work still gets done, yet everything feels fragile, like one honest conversation could collapse what little balance remains. Amy feels the pressure building inside her, growing heavier with each quiet day. She begins to notice changes in Lindy that scare her more than any argument ever could. Lindy laughs less. She clings harder to routines. She asks fewer questions, as if curiosity itself feels risky. Amy realizes that Lindy isn't just uncomfortable, she's guarding herself. And that fear becomes louder than Amy's own heartbreak. For the first time, Amy understands something clearly and painfully. Lindy is watching her, not listening to words, but learning from choices. Whatever Amy does next will teach her daughter what love, safety, and trust truly mean. That realization changes Amy. She starts pulling back emotionally, not because her feelings for Ty have disappeared, but because they've become dangerous to ignore. She shortens conversations. She avoids shared silences that once felt familiar. She creates distance where closeness once lived. To Ty, it feels sudden. To Amy, it feels like survival. Ty notices immediately. He sees the shift in Amy's eyes, the exhaustion behind her calm, and he understands why. Amy is choosing Lindy. And while that choice is right, it doesn't make it easier to accept. Ty begins to feel like a guest who has stayed too long, lingering in a place where his presence causes more harm than comfort. For the first time, Ty stops thinking about what he wants. He starts thinking about what Lindy needs. And that is when the hardest truth settles in. Lindy does not need him. Not right now. Maybe not ever. Her world is already full. Her foundation was built without him, and forcing his way into it could fracture something precious. That realization is devastating. Ty imagined many versions of his return, but none of them included being unnecessary. He believed love alone could bridge the gap. Now he understands how naive that hope was. Fatherhood isn't claimed by biology. It's earned through time, presence, and patience. And time is the one thing he no longer has. Lindy, meanwhile, begins to feel the weight of everyone's expectations. Even though no one pressures her openly, she feels it in the way adults watch her reactions, in the silence that follows her choices. She knows something important is being decided around her, and that knowledge makes her anxious. Children don't want responsibility for adult pain. They want safety. And Lindy feels that safety slipping away, so she becomes firmer in her distance, not out of unkindness, but clarity. Her life feels stable without Ty. Introducing him into it feels unpredictable. And Lindy chooses predictability. She chooses the world that hasn't surprised her with loss. Amy sees this clarity in her daughter and feels both pride and grief. She is proud of Lindy's instincts, proud of her strength, but she grieves the cost of that strength because it means letting go of something Amy herself has not fully released. The family senses a turning point approaching. Conversations grow more direct, not emotional, but honest. Questions that were once avoided now linger openly. How long will Ty stay? What does staying even mean? What happens if nothing changes? No one wants to say it out loud, but everyone feels it. This balance cannot hold. And deep down, they all know that whatever comes next will leave someone hurting. The truth doesn't arrive all at once. It settles slowly, pressing down on everyone at Heartland until it can no longer be ignored. The tension isn't explosive, it's suffocating. Every shared space feels too small for emotions no one knows how to release. And in that pressure, Amy understands something unavoidable. This situation cannot continue the way it is. Amy spends sleepless nights lying awake, staring into the dark, listening to Lindy's steady breathing from the next room. That sound grounds her. It reminds her why she survived the years she thought broke her. Lindy is not just her daughter. She is her responsibility, her anchor, her first and final priority. And lately, Amy can feel how deeply this situation is affecting her. Lindy's calm has returned only when Ty keeps his distance. That truth cuts deeper than any argument could. Amy begins to see her own role more clearly. She hasn't just been trying to protect Lindy, she's been avoiding her own pain. Ty's presence reopened emotions she wasn't ready to face, and in doing so, she underestimated how much that emotional struggle spilled into her daughter's world. Amy realizes that strength doesn't always mean holding everything together. Sometimes it means admitting when something hurts too much to continue. Ty senses the shift before Amy ever speaks. He notices how she no longer looks for moments alone with him, how she keeps conversations focused and distant, how her eyes carry a finality he doesn't want to name. He understands what's coming, and that understanding fills him with quiet dread. Still, he doesn't stop it, because somewhere deep inside, he already knows the truth. Ty begins preparing himself emotionally for the possibility of leaving, not as a punishment, not as defeat, but as an act of care. He sees now that staying without a role only deepens the divide. His presence, even when gentle, keeps reopening wounds Amy is trying to close and unsettling a child who never asked for this disruption. He understands something painful. Sometimes love means stepping away, not holding on tighter. When Amy finally speaks, it isn't dramatic. There are no raised voices, no accusations. Her voice is calm, but heavy with honesty. She doesn't explain everything. She doesn't justify herself. She simply says what matters most. Lindy needs stability. And right now, Ty's presence disrupts that stability. Ty listens without interrupting. He doesn't defend himself. He doesn't argue. Hearing the truth spoken out loud doesn't break him. It confirms what his heart has already been trying to accept. This isn't about blame. It's about timing. About consequences neither of them chose but must now live with. Amy feels her chest tighten as Ty agrees to step back. She knows this decision will stay with her forever. She is choosing her child, And that choice is right, but it doesn't make it painless. Loving someone doesn't guarantee a shared future. Sometimes love demands sacrifice without reward. Lindy senses the change almost immediately. The air feels lighter, the tension eases. Not happy, just calmer. And that calm tells her everything she needs to know. Her world feels safe again. This moment doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like acceptance. And acceptance, even when quiet, carries the weight of everything that was lost. Ty's decision to step back doesn't bring the relief anyone expected. Instead, it leaves behind a quiet space where emotion once lived. Heartland feels calmer, but also emptier, like something important has been removed and everyone is still learning how to breathe without it. This isn't closure, it's adjustment. On the surface, life slowly returns to routine. Lindy sleeps better. She laughs more easily. The tension that once followed her through every room fades. As a mother, Amy knows she made the right choice. Her child feels safe again, and that truth matters more than anything else. Yet, when night falls and the house grows quiet, Amy feels the cost of that safety settle heavily in her chest. She doesn't regret protecting Lindy. She grieves what that protection required. Amy realizes that some losses don't happen all at once. They happen through necessary decisions that hurt deeply. Choosing stability over possibility means accepting a future that looks different from the one she once imagined. Not weaker, just changed. For the first time, Amy allows herself to fully feel what Ty's return stirred up. She acknowledges the love that never truly disappeared, the dreams that resurfaced without permission, and the strength it took to set them aside again. She understands now that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning how to live with memories without letting them control the present. Lindy, unaware of the full weight of the choice made around her, feels the difference in her own way. Her world feels predictable again, safe. She doesn't see her refusal as rejection. To her, it was simply choosing what felt right. And that quiet confidence becomes a powerful reminder that children deserve the freedom to protect their emotional space. Amy watches her daughter move forward and finds reassurance in her resilience. Lindy's strength teaches her something important. Love isn't proven by sacrifice alone. It's proven by consistency. By showing up every day, even when it's hard. Amy has done that. And seeing Lindy thrive reminds her she didn't fail anyone, not even herself. Ty, now standing at a distance, begins a different journey. Leaving Heartland doesn't erase his pain, but it gives him clarity. He carries regret, but not the kind that consumes. He understands now that wanting to belong isn't enough. Some relationships are shaped not by what happens next, but by what can never be reclaimed. His return didn't give him redemption, it gave him honesty. And that honesty becomes the foundation for whatever life he builds next. Slowly, the family finds balance again. Conversations feel easier, smiles feel real. The heaviness lifts. Not because the pain is gone, but because it's been faced. Decisions have been made, and even painful clarity brings peace. Season 20. Episode 1 doesn't end with comfort. It ends with truth. Healing isn't about fixing the past. It's about understanding it, accepting it, and moving forward without letting it define you. Heartland continues. Changed, standing, honest. Some endings hurt more because they are right.